Happy November. Meet my puppy, Maxie. Maxie, say hello. Say hello. This is my beautiful puppy. So I am so excited to do this November prediction. I'm so sorry that I'm late for this November prediction, as I'm sure it has been for you. This eclipse season was really did a number on all of us. So I feel like I'm finally getting myself on my feet again, like getting to it and getting around to doing all the readings and everything. But it was a few days of like difficulty to like get things done. But anyways, let's get started because there's a lot of changes this November. Let's start with all the dates and what's happening. So on let me share my screen. Okay, so today, November 2nd, Venus leaves Leo and it enters the sign of Virgo with the North and South Node as Rahu and Ketu entered Pisces. Rahu and Ketu entered Virgo on October 30th. And I have a video on predictions on that, the previous video to this one. You should find it. You should take a watch it. And remember, watch these predictions from your sidereal birth chart, not your tropical rising or moon, your sidereal. And you can generate, I have a link to generate your chart. Doesn't matter what sign you get, just watch for that sign. Listen for that sign for your rising and your moon. Okay, so today, Venus enters Virgo, leaves Leo, enters Virgo. Although it's really far from the South Node, it's still sitting in the house of the South Node and Ketu. And this Ketu is all about detachment. So, and Venus is all about love. Venus gets debilitated in the sign of Virgo. So as time progresses and Venus gets closer and closer to Ketu, we can see a sense of detachment in that area of life where we have Ketu in, where we have Virgo in. So if it's in your second house, you can start to feel some kind of detachment from wanting to speak to others, from your family life and things like that, because Venus is love. So loving those things in your life is going to be difficult. We can be a little bit critical in that area of life, a little bit perfectionist in that area of life, and not really a little bit, a lot, because we're being detached from it. Venus is already debilitated in Virgo. It doesn't do well there because Virgo is a sign of service and it's a sign of getting things done and being very practical and very critical and very much of a perfectionist about it. And Venus is all about love, is all about beauty. So you can't bring perfectionism to beauty because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is all about is very subjective and it's what comes from your heart. So if you start adding to your creations things of perfection and like critical nature, it doesn't come out good. It's obviously this is happening in my second house of the voice because I'm losing my voice and I'm just trying to get things done before, if just in case. I'm just not gonna say I'm gonna lose it because we're not manifesting that over here. But yeah. And then November 4th, we can see Saturn will finally turn direct after being in retrograde motions all the way since June, like 17th around there. So we're going to see Saturn go direct. So all the lessons that we learned during the retrograde period, now they're going to start to make sense and we're going to receive the rewards of that retrograde period. Then on the 6th, Mercury enters Scorpio. And then a little bit after, on the 15th, Mars enters Scorpio. And then on the 16th, Sun enters Scorpio. So we're going to have Sun and Mars together in the sign of Scorpio, making an aspect, a fourth aspect to Saturn. So there's going to be it's going to feel a little bit heavy for all of us because see, Sun and Mars are all about action, aggression, how we get things done. And then Saturn is all about doing things deliberately and slowly. So we can feel a lot of like pent up emotions that we don't see an outlet to let them out through, or we can like be a little bit passive aggressive about the action that we take. Not always the case, but it can be the case. And then, but the good thing is the Sun is leaving the sign of Libra where it gets debilitated on the 16th. So we're no longer going to feel like our sense of self and identity is being dimmed. We're finally going to feel like we're getting our shine, our sun back. It's even like the weather has even been terrible since Sun entered Libra, where Sun gets debilitated. Okay, once Saturn goes direct, the signs that are going to see the most relief are going to be Cancer and Aquarius. Cancer because of work and the things that they've had to like really let go during this retrograde period. Saturn transiting their 8th house has been very heavy. It's still going to be transiting the 8th house. It's still going to be heavy. for the Cancer rising and moons, but it's going to be at least less lessons and less heaviness and less delayed. And then for the Aquarius rising and moons, your health is going to improve a little bit now when Saturn goes direct. But the sign that's getting the most impact out of all the rising and moon signs is Leo. Because see, you have Jupiter aspecting your first house from its fifth aspect. So Jupiter is in your ninth house right now, aspecting fifth aspect. So your higher beliefs are getting impacted, your wishes, your dreams, your luck factor. Then from Saturn, you're getting a seventh aspect. So Daddy Saturn is looking from your house of relationships and outside, and other people is looking right at your sense of self, telling you in order for your relationships to get better, you have to change yourself. And then from the eighth house of transformation, Rahu is looking at Leo as well. So Leo rising and moons, major events can unfold for you at this time, all the way until the spring of 2024. So major events for the Leos. I'm not saying it's bad. It could be good. You direct it. You get to choose how it plays out for you, however you want it to play out. So take it how you want to take it, work on yourself so it can be good. Now, Mars, so I already talked about Mars and Saturn. Okay. So those are the four signs that are getting the most impact this month. Now, let's start with the predictions. Aries moons. Okay, this is a very special month for you guys because finally, after 2 years, the nodal axis is out of your first and seventh house axis where it was creating a lot of tension there. You had the Rahu over your first house, or rising or moon, and things were really chaotic in your life. Although you could have gone through a lot of changes. Now you have Jupiter alone there in your first house, so this is a really good sign. That means that all the expansion that's benefic that was meant to be given to you can now be given to you. However, with Rahu in your 12th house for the next year and a half, expenses are starting to get higher and higher. However, the ruler is in your first house, which means that these expenses are getting higher because you're working on yourself. You're working on your mental and you're working on your physical health. A lot of you are trying to lose weight or just like trying to become fitter, or I don't know, changing something about yourself. That's going to happen now. Maybe your body's changing. Maybe some of you became pregnant, or maybe had some kind of cosmetic procedure. This is a good month for that as well. So you're also thinking about isolating yourself more, because in the next 2 years, you're going to be isolating yourself a lot, especially after the spring of 2024. So you're going to think about what it is that you need to do in order to release these childhood traumas that you've had pending in the back of your mind. And now you're going to find ways of releasing it. So Rahu in the 12th house can also bring up a lot of like crazy dreams. So you may be having heavy dreams right now. So Venus just entered your 6th house. I would say be careful with like your eating habits. Make sure that you're eating pure foods and that you're taking really good care of your health, because Ketu in the 6th house can make you feel a little bit detached from your health or from your daily routines. And then Venus just entered there where it gets debilitated. So you might have a little bit of a struggle this month in maintaining that weight off, or in getting yourself up and going out and working out, or maybe something with your coworkers. You're like kind of like not feeling it anymore. You're not feeling that vibe at work, or you're just feeling a little bit disillusioned with your current situation. That's okay. That's going to pass. It's just that Ketu wants you to view things in a very spiritual way. And once you do that, it gives you the results. So your everyday life, your coworkers, or even if you were in like litigation or something like that, I would say if you wanted to take out loans for something, these next 2 years, you might be doing that. Just try not to take out too many loans. Try not to be too much in debt. Be careful of the money that you're spending, because like this is going to be an expensive 2 years for you. I just went through this transit, and let me tell you, my expenses were really, really high. However, you do find ways of making money, new ways of making money, and it does happen. So, you will be able to offset the high expenses. However, the savings, make sure you're saving at all times, because expenses will get high. Try not to overly expend. This month, Sun and Mars enter your 8th house, which can make you feel even more of that need that you've been having in the back of your mind to change yourself, to transform yourself, or even to like join assets with your spouse or your significant other. If you were single, this is a really good month where, especially first half of the month, even second half of the month, where you might decide to put yourself out there and start dating, especially because Saturn is going direct on the 4th in your 11th house of hopes and wishes. So maybe you've had a lot of lessons up until now that you've been learning when it came to love, when it it came to children, when it came to creativity, relationships. And after the fourth, all of that is going to start moving forward. Like you're not going to have that heaviness or the lessons anymore. Everything's, gliding through, and you're creating new friendships, new relationships. You're getting yourself out there. So that's really good for you. Aries rising and moons, of course, if your chart says so, if your chart permits, maybe getting engaged or even married for some of you. So it's a really good month for that. Then I would say after the second half of the month, after the 15th around there, just watch yourself how you're driving and try not to watch how you're driving, because you are going to be transforming. The ruler of your first house is going into the 8th house of transformation. You're going to be transforming your sense of self, your body, your health. Everything's transforming for you. Just make sure that you're being careful with yourself, and that you're taking care of your mental and physical health. If you notice that your mental health is deteriorating for some extent, check like the levels of your physical health, like check your vitamins, check your do a full checkup, especially because Virgo is in your 6th house, K2 with Venus, and Virgo is all about physical, your digestive system. So if you're not properly absorbing vitamins or nutrients, then that can then be reflected in mental health as well. But you can have a lot of ideas, like business ideas at this time, or ideas about what you want to do with your life. Maybe some of you might even decide to travel this month. Although the things with your relationship is getting better, now that the nodal axis have shifted, still the ruler of your 7th house is Venus, and it's all month it'll be sitting with K to the south node. So there's a sense of detachment from your the things that you love, or even your romantic relationships to some extent, or having realizations and uncovering deep-rooted things that you needed to uncover in order to have a better relationship. That can happen this month as well. Now we're off to the next sign, which is Taurus. You're going to have a new moon in your 7th house of relationships. So this is going to be a really good month, and it's happening on the 12th. So it's a really good month to set the intention of manifesting better connections, better relationships, better business partnerships as well. If you own a business, or if you wanted to start a business, set the intention this month to unfold in the next 6 months with the new moon. And then the full moon is happening in your 2nd house of family and resources. So setting the intention of better family life, feeling worthy, feeling closing off a chapter in that area of life, your finances, your financial stability as well. Now we're off to the next sign, which is Taurus. Taurus moons. Okay, so although this month is a really good month for you guys, it's not a negative month. The nodal axis going into your 11th and 5th house is a month. This is a 1.5-year transit that's going to bring you a lot of luck, abundance, gains, manifestations into your life. So it's not a bad year. But this month in particular, you're going to have Venus with K to the south node in your 5th house of your heart, your loved ones, your relationships, your romantic side, your children. So, this is a month when this is sitting with K2 in the 5th house. This might be a month when you might have to make a decision about letting go of something that needs to be let go of, especially something that you love dearly that needs to be let go of. You need to let go of in some ways. Look to see from moon. If Virgo 5th house is from your rising, check from your moon where Virgo is placed. If it's in the 6th house, it might have to do something with your health. If it's in the 7th house, it might have something to do with relationship or partnerships. If it's in the 1st house, something about your sense of self. So yeah, the K2 is going to remove you because it wants you to view the thing. I'm sorry. Getting emotional because I know exactly what it is for me. Okay, so yeah, for me it has to do with my pets. So yeah, there's a decision that a lot of the Taurus rising and moons are going to have to make this month. There's some kind of it's not going to be something negative. It's just something that needs to happen in order for you to welcome in new change. And it might just be heavy in your heart because Venus is about the things you love. 5th house is your heart. K2 is the South Node detaching you so that you can find a very spiritual way of viewing this. So view the situation in a very spiritual sense, like find the higher meaning of the situation and let it go, because you'll be able to. But Venus with Ketu in your fifth house can also bring you things from the past, can also bring you manifestations from your past. It can also bring you love from the past in these next 2 years, but especially right now with Venus sitting with Ketu. Also mean just like feeling a sense of dissolution to some extent as it pertains to like your love life, your relationships, your romantic self, your children, your creativity, your business, or even like the way that you create in this world. Doesn't mean that anything negative will happen. It just means that you might just feel this way. You might just feel a little bit detached from it and wanting to view it in a more spiritual way. And so yeah, nothing bad. It's not a negative thing. It's just this feeling of detachment, because Ketu with Venus brings a little bit of detachment. Saturn will go direct in your 10th house of career, which means that all the work that you've been doing at work, you're going to get some major recognition in your career and your workplace for the work that you've been doing. You're going to be getting some kind of promotion. You might be even advancing in some way. Some of you can also be moving this month, or just like thinking about real estate, thinking about moving in some ways, because your career is expanding and it's going to grow, and you're finally going to see things progress a lot faster. And you're going to see things, especially if you were learning lessons about your career in these since June, you might get some kind of recognition, some kind of fame, some kind of upgrade, or some kind of reward that you were waiting on, or some reward that you deserve. From the hard work that you've been putting in. Even if you feel like you haven't, you really have been doing the work in your career. Or if you don't, if you're struggling with your career path, this might be the time when you get some kind of recognition, or you finally get the realizations, or you finally get things moving at this time. And then you're also going to be having a lot of planets in your sixth house of health, of Ketu is finally out of there. So it's like you're getting your health back in order, and you're having the strength to overcome anything that was put in your way for the past 2 years. When you had Ketu in your sixth house, you were quite detached from your health and your sense of self. Now you're getting back into your routine. And if you had any litigations, any kind of enemies, you're overcoming them this month with all these planets in your sixth house. Then you're going to have the new moon happening on the 12th in your sixth house. So this is going to bring, and it's opposite your 12th house, Jupiter. So your expenses are getting better, and your expenses are not as high as they used to be. So, but they're still a little bit high, because for the past 2 years, your expenses have been quite high. However, Rahu's no longer there, so they're getting better. And your mental health and your physical health are also getting better. However, things might get worse before they get better. So keep that in mind, but things are getting better with your health. You're starting to, and also with your work, with your routine, you're getting back into your routine, and you're having better relationships at work. So during the new moon, set the intention of having a better routine, having a more organized day-to-day life, better routines in your everyday life, and just like a stronger sense of health in your life. So to unfold in the next 6 months, if you're going through litigations or some kind of like enemies at work, or just like open enemies, like people suing you or something like that, this will be the month when you're just gonna hear good news about that. Then second half of the month, all of the planets that were in your sixth enter your seventh house of relationships. So Sun will leave its debilitation point that was in the sixth house and in Libra, and is going to enter your seventh house, joining Mercury and joining Mars. So this is going to be good, because you're going to have a lot of energy towards your contracts, your outside, the outside world. It's like a lot of planets transiting very important houses this month. So seventh house of relationship, maybe if you're single, this could be the time when you meet a very serious, committed person that comes into your life and gives you the commitment that you've been wanting. Then but with that Mars there in your seventh house, just be careful with like arguments and over passion in your relationships. If you are married or in a relationship, this could be a time when your relationship gets a renewal, or it gets more passionate, or you take things to the next level this month for some of you. Of course, it's all dependent on your own personal chart. Or it could also be the case also be the case that you get into a new business partnership this month that you've been contemplating on, or since you're going to have Saturn direct in the 10th house, is a month of growth and growth at work, growth in relationships, just overall growth. If you feel a little bit of aggression or pent-up aggression being directed to you, especially second half of the month onward, just find healthy ways to regulate yourself. Find healthy ways to let that go. Because that can also happen with Mars making such a close aspect to Saturn. So a lot of aggression can be directed at your relationships or from your relationships. Just try to solve everything that you might want to solve, because you will have the opportunity to solve it, but when you view it in a spiritual way. If you have children, this could be a month when you might want to be gentle with them, be compassionate with them. This is their first life here too. Same with your parents, same with your partner, within your relationships, with your pets. If anyone, just be compassionate overall this month, because you're fiery this month, especially after the second half of the month. Taurus, this is a really good month of recognition, of expansion at work, in your career, in your home environment. There could be an element of disconnection as it pertains to like heaviness, or just like discontent within yourself. But that heaviness is going to subside because you're going to get so much recognition this month. This month is all about recognition, career, contracts, outside world, recognized by the public. If you work with the public or in government, or if you work like with the media, or if you just have your own business, it's a really good time of recognition and gains as well, with that 11th house Rahu just going into your 11th house. So you are going to gain a lot this month. So it's going to be a good month for that. If you're married, just like I was saying, be careful with your spouse, the way you speak to them. And that's about it for now. We're off to the next sign, which is Gemini. Rising and moons, I forgot to mention that this month you also have a full moon in your first house. So it's culminating a period that you began back in June. So whatever you set the intention for back in June, this could be the time when you receive it. So the full moon is gonna happen on the 27th of November. So I'll make a separate video for that as well. Now we're off to the next sign, which is Gemini. There's a new moon happening on the 13th, I believe. Let me check. Okay. The new moon is happening on the 12th of November in Libra. So you have a new moon happening on the 12th in your 5th house of romance, creativity, relationships. So for the past year, and I'm sorry, my dog. So for the past 2 years, you had Ketu there detaching you from your relationships, from your loved ones, from your heart and your creativity. Now that's gone. So now Ketu has entered your 4th house. So it's no longer in your 5th house of romance. So this could be a time when you set the intention for the next 6 months to get into a relationship if you're single, to conceive if you've been wanting to get pregnant and you haven't been able to in the last year and a half. It's also a good month to it's a great month to work on your creativity, to learn something, a skill that you have been putting aside. Maybe you've been wanting to learn a new skill, or go back to school, or teach something, or create a work of art. If you have your own business, then this could be a time when you really focus on that. With your children, they might need more of you at the first half of the month, but set the intention during the new moon to have better relationships with your loved ones in general. This month you will see first half of the whole month, Ketu has entered your 4th house. Ketu detaches you a little bit from your home life, from your mother, or just like from your environment at home in general. You can feel a sense of loss within your emotional side as well. And Venus has just entered its debilitation point. And at first, like at the beginning of the month, it's going to be far away from Ketu, but once it reaches closer and closer, you're going to feel a sense of detachment from your happiness, from your heart, from your loved ones, or even from your home or your car or your, not that anything's going to happen, but you're just going to feel like I want to view the more, you want to see the more spiritual side of things. You might even like, because you're really focused this month, actually for the next 2 years, on changing your image to some extent, and therefore you're spending less time at home, or not wanting to be home at all, or wanting to shift homes in some way or another. This could be, and you could do that now, but just know that while Venus is in your 4th house, you're feeling a detachment from your heart, from your happiness. So it's best not to make any harsh decisions this month while you have Venus in your 4th house. That you're going to start feeling a lot of positive energy in terms of like your education, higher education, or just like viewing the world in a different way. You've been learning a lot of lessons since June around your beliefs, your philosophies, your spirituality, even travel. So some of you may be traveling or planning a travel this month, but it's like very positive, as you know, things are moving forward. Your luck is it's moving forward this month, your luck factor, with that Saturn going direct in your 9th house. So luck is getting improved. You're wanting to learn something new. There's a lot of the houses of luck and creation are getting impacted. So maybe you've changed your beliefs around your creativity and what you want to put out into the world and what you create. And this could be a month when you choose to create something, when you choose to maybe it's a business, maybe it's a child, maybe it's just like education, you're going back to school or teaching others something, or putting out creative works through social media, or whatever it means for you. You've changed your beliefs about that, and now this is a month when there's a lot of positive energy and a lot of action driven towards that. Then after the 2nd half of the month, a lot of the planets will be in your 6th house, where you will feel more inclined towards having better work routine. So maybe if you were planning on leaving your current position, or you found a new position, this could be a time when you integrate your routine and you have a better routine or a better health regimen in general. That will happen on the 27th. You're going to close off a chapter that dealt with isolation that you started back in like June, around there. You were isolating due to something, due to maybe work or something like that, or studying something, but you were isolating back then, and now you're ending that chapter because you're feeling a lot more optimistic and you're having a lot of like dreams and aspiration, and nothing is going to stop you. All of that is going to manifest at this time. With Cancer. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, for the past few months, you've been really struggling as it pertains to your career life and your assets and your finances and your the money that you have and the money that you share with others. Now, the thing is that you've had 8th house and 10th house strong transit. You currently have Saturn in your 8th house, and it was retrograde. It was detaching you from your resources, detaching you from career growth. So now this is the time once Saturn goes direct, it's going to feel less heavy. It's going to feel like you're finally getting the strength, and you're finally getting the results that you've worked so hard for. So, Rahu has left your 10th house and Jupiter is there alone, so it's expanding your career life in a good way. Now, Venus and Ketu are in your 3rd house. This could be a month when you might feel more and more like communicating less, like exerting yourself less. Your courage is getting impacted. Your 4th house is heavily impacted 1st half of the month, and there's a new moon happening there in your 4th house of home. So some of you may be dealing with like real estate issues, or just like your sense of happiness. Some they're getting debilitated. You're feeling like a lot of like passion, but with no outlet. Like there could be a sense of wanting to release, but not being able to, because you have this pent-up anger, this pent-up aggression in your home. But it could be also a month when some of you have relocated, or before 1st half of the month, just like the heaviness is there and the aggression is there, like especially when you're at home and you can't even pinpoint why, perhaps, but there's some matters that are really disturbing you. But at the same time, it's almost as if it's getting a little bit better. It's subsiding because Ketu has left that area. Now you just have Sun and Mars. So set the intention for the next 6 months during a new moon, which will happen on the 12th of November. Set the intention of like a better home environment, a happier home environment, maybe a different home environment, especially after this last 2 years of having Ketu there in your home and feeling detached from it. Then better career prospects, like set that intention as well. Then at the end of the month on November 27th, there's a full moon in your 11th house. So there could be some manifestations in regards to your career, love, relationships, friendships that might come true for you this month. There could be something that you've been waiting on since the summertime that can be fulfilled for you this time. Maybe this is work related. Maybe this is relating to your friends. Maybe it's relating to your home environment. Maybe it's even love or romance or children related, or even like if you work in creative fields, it might be geared to that. Or maybe you've been learning something or wanting to travel because you're changing your belief systems in the next 2 years. Now we're off to the next sign, which is Leo. Leo rising and Leo moons. The month you're gaining your courage back after 2 years of having Ketu in your 3rd house of courage, of communication, of strength, willpower, and even like media. Maybe the last 2 years you've been really struggling with communicating with others and like getting your point across. Now this month you've learned. This month you will begin to learn how to gain your strength back, assert yourself, take a stance on things, especially after the second half of the month once Sun leaves your 3rd house, because Sun there is the ruler of your first and it's getting debilitated in the sign of Libra. So you can be struggling first half of the month a little bit with your health or like with your vitality or with your sense of courage in general. But then second half of the month, things get better because Sun goes into your 4th house and you're going to have a lot of energy. Maybe you're taking like a lot of like little errands that you're having to do first half of the month. And then second half of the month, you're going to be focused a lot on making your home environment happier, better, more beautiful. Maybe you're going to be renovating. Maybe there's a relocation that happens this month, or maybe you're just thinking about relocating or thinking about changing your home environment a little bit. Venus is with Ketu in your 2nd house. Venus will be there in the 2nd house with Ketu all month long, and as the month progresses, the energy gets stronger. So it can be a sense of loss as it pertains to your value systems, your sense of even like what you value in life. There could be some kind of decision or some kind of loss that's happening for you. It's also ruling your 11th house, so you might be really thinking about changing your friendships or changing the way that you view your friendships. This is a month when you might want to think about what your friends mean to you, and also which friends are meant to leave your life, which friends are staying for this next 2 years. Because in the next 2 years, you're going to have this 2nd and 8th house axis being really activated. However, second half of the month, your sense of self gets improved again as Sun enters Scorpio along with Mars. There's going to be a new moon happening in your 3rd house. So this could be a good time to set the intention to have better relationships with your siblings, better relationship with, have stronger courage, taking action in your business, in your work environment, in your career in general. So this is a good time to set that intention for the next 6 months. And then on the 27th, there's going to be a full moon in your 10th house. And this is a good time to close off chapters in your career. Like I said at the beginning of the video, Leos are really getting impacted until like about April, because Saturn is looking at your 1st house, asking you to restructure your sense of identity so that your work and so that your relationships can improve. And then Jupiter, Rahu is in the 8th house, ruled by Jupiter in your 9th. That's making a 5th aspect to your Leo sign, which means that your love life, your creativity, your children are also getting impacted. So you're getting impacted from every way. And then there's an 8th house Rahu, which is forcing you to transform yourself, to let go of old ways of viewing yourself, to let go of old belief systems. It's I'm not saying this is a negative transit. It's neither good or bad. It's just a transit like any other transit. Whether you want it to be good, that's up to you. You have to gear it towards the positive, towards what you want out of life. If you think negatively, then that's what you're going to get. If you think positively, then that's what you're going to get. The transit is all transits are neutral. You add the meaning of it. You assign how you want them to show up. And but you're one of the signs that's going to have a lot of life changes this month and throughout the springtime. A lot of life-changing events are going to occur in your life. especially after Saturn goes direct on the 4th. So expect changes and make sure that you're working on yourself. That's all that these transits ask you to do, to work on yourself so you can receive what you want out of them, the positive side of them. And then you will also have this is the month when also Jupiter looking at your first house can give you an increase in luck and in abundance, and money can look good for you this month. There's an increase in magnetism as well. Just be careful a little bit with like your throat or like your voice. Don't overextend yourself, and watch the things that you say, and watch the foods that you intake this month. With Venus there sitting in your second house, there's a little bit of disconnect when it comes to your food intake, when it comes to your the words that you're speaking. So don't be too critical on others, and just watch for that. But other than that, this is a good month for you. This is a good month for relationships, for your home environment, renovations, moving home, even a new vehicle or real estate for some of you, or just like finding a sense of happiness as the full moon reaches its closure in your 10th house of your identity. So you might receive also an increase in your business partnerships, like maybe some there's a good time if you work in like the media, or if you work in publishing or anything like that. This is a really good month that you might get some recognition for you. Okay, off to the next sign, which is Virgo. Virgo and rising Virgo risings and moons. This is a really important month for you because the nodal axis just entered your first and seventh house. Whenever the South Node K2 enters your first house, whether it's from moon or from rising, there could be a sense of detachment from yourself, from your sense of self, from your identity, from your body in general. Now, Venus has entered the mix this month until the 28th. So when Venus is there in your first house, you're reevaluating everything about your identity, everything about what makes you who you are, feeling a little bit disconnected, feeling a little bit of discontent in your life, going through a major transformation in relationships as well. Anything that you want now out of your partnerships is not going to be what you want by the end of this 18-month transit. But especially this month, while Venus is there in your ascendant, if you feel detachment from yourself, if you feel like you can't recognize yourself anymore, if you feel like the things that you loved before about yourself are no longer it, this transit is just asking you to reevaluate yourself in a very spiritual way, to find the spirituality of your life, to find to disconnect from anything that hasn't been working, to be really honest with yourself on what it is that your life needs in order to be more spiritually aligned. The faster you get there, the faster you become spiritually aligned, especially as it pertains to your career and how others view you, the faster that you learn the lessons of this Venus being retrograde over your ascendant. You can be really critical with yourself right now, not much of a perfectionist, even with the people around you. It can be a little bit heavy, especially for your partnerships, because it's almost as if your partner is focusing more on themselves and you're feeling left out. You're feeling like the things that you once loved are no longer it, or no longer serving you. Also, Saturn is going direct in your 6th house of daily activities, work, routine. So it's important to now reflect on everything you've learned since June, and especially the routines that you've settled. If there was some difficulty at work, or if you were going through some kind of litigation, now is the time. This could be a really good time for you when things are being settled and moving forward a lot faster. A lot of planets, a lot of action in your second house. So the last 2 years you had K2 in your second house. It was detaching you a little bit from your family, from your finances. Now that's getting settled and sorted because you are more focused on your partnerships and on connecting with the outside world. And so your finances, or your stability within your worth, and whether that's money or relationships or finances, is getting stabilized. Especially with your family, if you were having any issues there, this month is getting stabilized. First half of the month, then second half of the month, you're going to be doing like a lot of errands, or like you're trying to get your courage back, or you're trying to like really make a statement. If you feel a little bit of like aggression coming from others, or others might feel like you're being a little bit high strong to some extent. but you're just trying to like regain your courage, regain your energy. Make sure that whatever you speak is not coming off rough or harsh to others. Because with that Venus on your ascendant, and then all these planets in your second house of boys, watch out with your eating also. And then in the second half, a bunch of planets going into your third house, you're going to have a lot of energy towards, I don't know, business, towards your relationships. But at the same time, maybe you're being overly critical with others this month. So that can feel a little bit heavy. Keep in mind is that this month for the Virgo rising and moons, they may feel even more disconnected from their sense of self because of family. Like for some reason, your family can need more of you at this time. Like they can be going through some kind of transformation, or some transformation with finances in your family, or they might ask more of you in terms of expenses and finances with your family. Which like expenses are rising for you this month. Last month the expenses were really, really high. This month is due to your family. However, it's not like you're spending and not making it, because your house of luck is also getting activated, your ninth house, through this. So yeah, you're spending a lot this month because of family matters, but and feeling like you're losing yourself, but you're not going to. You just need to view everything in a very spiritual way. Like you're starting a new chapter in life at this time, and it's worth the expenses. Just if you get a little bit annoyed with your family, it's coming from this. Just try to keep your composure. Off to the next sign, which is Libra. Libra moon. So this is a big relief of a month, because finally the South Node Ketu has left officially your first house, where it was for 2 years almost. And that was a really heavy transit, because you were feeling really detached from yourself, from your emotions. Like maybe some of you were going through some kind of like depression or difficulty with your health. This is the month when you feel better about yourself, when things are beginning to realign for you. At the same time, you can see some kind of like spiritual way of viewing life right now, especially as it pertains to like your expenses, or your inner deep subconscious like traumas. They might come to the surface this month for you to heal it. Like things from your past are coming back into your life for you to let go of whatever past hurts you might have and start this new chapter, this beginning for you. You're realigning with your health, you're realigning with your relationships. You have Jupiter still in your 7th house and is ruling your 11th house of and is looking at your 11th house of manifestation. Saturn is going direct in your 5th house of children, and of 5th house of children and 5th house of creativity, business, and relationships. So some of you, if you were learning a lot of lessons around relationships, this is a time when some of you might get into a relationship this month, or might make the relationship that you're in better. If you were trying to conceive, this might be a good month for that as well, now that you've learned all the lessons you needed to learn since June. Moving forward. And then after the mid-month, all the planets that are currently in your first house are going into your second house. So expenses might be going up for you due to family, or your family might need more of you. Just be careful of the words that you're speaking to them, and be careful what you're intaking, the types of food that you're intaking. Now, and I think, let me see, 7th house. Okay, 1 second. Bring about high expenses, and it's almost like as if you're wanting to be in solitude, or you're wanting to be isolated more than usual this month, because you're reflecting a lot but unable to, because it's almost as if your family needs you or somebody always needs you, but you're wanting to like isolate, be in solitude, and just like be calm and relaxed and things like that. It's important for you this month to just be careful driving. Not saying that anything's going to happen, but your 8th house is being activated. So just careful driving, be cautious, save, because savings are possible for you this month as well, especially second half of the month. Savings will increase, but first half of the month and really all month, you're feeling like a little bit disconnected, and you're wanting to isolate a little bit, and changing your beliefs about, past childhood things, but at the same time, you're still being visible and you're still being seen. So you have this push and pull. Just, do what you have to do and then isolate and reflect on whatever happened in the day. That should be your best outcome. If expenses go up, they're going to get better next month, but you are saving to second half of the month, so it's not all bad. Off to the next month, off to the next sign, which is Scorpio. Scorpio moon. Okay, so first half of the month, we start off the month strong with Rahu and Ketu going into your 11th and 5th axis. So this is a time when a lot of past lives and past manifestations can come into your life. This is a strong next 1.5-year transit where you're going to be really, really focused on learning something or on your relationships, on creating a business, creating a relationship. Now, I've already talked about that in the video of Rahu and Ketu. Then we have a new moon happening in your 12th house on the 12th of November. So that's the first half of the month. You have a lot of plans in your 12th house. So there's a lot of internal work that you're doing the first half of the month, especially as it pertains to your connections, letting go of people, places, and things that are no longer serving you so that you can begin this new path that you're embarking on in this next 1.5 years. First half of the month can be a little bit expensive, like a lot of expenses first half of the month. And when Saturn goes direct on the 4th, you're going to feel a lot of things going forward in terms of your career. However, there's still a lot of expenses and still a lot of things that you're having to let go of internally for things to show up in your reality, especially in your career and in your home environment. Then after second half of the month, like around the 15th onward, all of the focus goes on you. You're going to glow up. This is a glow up type of energy. Even though Venus is still retrograde in your 11th house, it's just like things from the past coming up, whether that's relationships, whether that's friendships, just things from the past or manifestations from the past as well. Like you're feeling like you have to do something about the things that you love, like change it in a way so that you can move forward in a very spiritual way of viewing your connections to the outside world. And then you get your manifestations. But second half of the month, you're going to go through a glow up. It's going to be all about you. Sun goes into your first house. Mars returns into your first house, into its own sign. Then Mercury joins also. So all of the signs going back into your first house is going to energize you, and it's really going to give you the focus that you need to push forward, whether that's within energy within yourself or your relationships. Then on the 27th, you have a full moon in your 7th house of relationships. So this is going to complete and close off a cycle that you began back in like June. So if you made the intention back in June to like be in a relationship, committed relationship, or improve your marriage or your relationships that you currently have, this is the time when you're going to see the manifestation of that. So this is a really good month for the Scorpios. You're going to have a really good month when the energies of like the difficult, heavy energies that you've been having since June are going to begin to subside now. So this is a good month overall. I'm excited for you. Up to the next sign, which is Sagittarius. Sagittarius moon. So you have a lot of planets in your 11th house this month. So that's really good. Even though Sun is debilitated there in the 11th house, it's still going to bring you gains to some extent. You're still getting some kind of, even though things might feel heavy in whatever, like in your image, like maybe you're letting go of an old image that you've had and it can feel a little bit heavy, a little bit difficult at first. It doesn't matter because gains are still on your side. You're still gaining this month. First half of the month is all about your friendships, gains, manifestations coming in, especially around the new moon, which will be on the 12th. And on the new moon, you can also set the intention to for better friendships, better relationships, better connections, better gains, better just increasing gains for the next year and a half, especially after having Ketu in your 11th house for the last 2 years, where you felt like a lack of friendships, a lack of connection. Now all that is coming back threefold. So it's a really good month where you're beginning to gain that back. Then so Venus in your 10th house is helping you like recognize in a very spiritual way what you need to change about your relationships. So you need to change about your image and how others view you. If you were kind of like passive before, this is a time when you realize, oh, hey, I need to be more I need to focus more on my happiness and the things that bring me joy more than, my image. Like I have to stop caring what others think about me and just focus on me. Otherwise, I'm not going to be happy. This is a month when you have a lot of realizations around that. And then So you might be changing something about your image, maybe moving homes this month. If that's what you've been trying to do for a while, you can relocate this month. Also, Saturn goes direct in your third house. So you may be thinking about new business ideas. Things are moving forward with a sibling. Like maybe you had some kind of difficult relationship or lack of communication with a sibling since June. Now there's a time when you're moving forward with them and you're clarifying everything and you're learning the truth about things. Or maybe even if you own your own business, is a time when things are moving forward. So Saturn going direct in your third house. Saturn in the third house is really strong. You have a lot of courage. You have a lot of willpower, especially once it goes direct, because you've learned the lessons around courage, willpower, especially around your home environment, around your career, around your friends, around your loved ones. So this is not a bad month for you. And then on the 27th, you will have a full moon in your sixth house. So maybe you will see some kind of news around your health, wellness, even work environment. Maybe if you wanted to change, if you were trying to change your routine, or since like June, you've been working on yourself, on your health, this is a time when you're going to see the manifestations of that. Up to the next sign, which is Capricorn. Risings, Capricorn moons. This month you have a lot of energy happening in your 10th house of career, and you also have a moon there happening on the 12th. So this is a really good month to set the intentions of having a more positive career outlook or a more positive leave behind. Like if you were looking for a better career path, this is the month to set that intention. If you were trying to change careers, change jobs, is a month for that. After the last 2 years of feeling very disconnected from your career and your image, is a time when you're wanting to change your image or you're wanting to have a completely different career path. And now the doors are opening for you. You're seeing the path much more clearly. So Jupiter in your fourth house, this can mean looking opposite of all the planets in your 10th, you're also thinking about your happiness. What brings you happy within your career? You're letting go of old beliefs, rearranging completely what you believe about others, about the world around you, so that you can begin the work on yourself, so that you can focus the energy on materializing and taking action towards your dreams, especially towards your towards your dreams, towards business ideas, even friendships. Then Saturn goes direct in your second house on the 4th tomorrow. So this is a good time to when whatever you were struggling with your family, with your stability, with your finances, is now going to move forward. So if you were stuck in a financial rut, you've learned all the lessons about up until now, and now things are going to start to move forward for you. And it's not a bad month. On November 27th, you have a full moon happening in your fifth house. So maybe you're coming full circle in terms of your love life, in terms of your romantic side. So if you were trying to get into a new relationship, this might be the time when that happens. If you, since June, you've been working on your romantic side, on your happiness, on your loved ones. So if you have any loved ones that, or if you wanted to start dating, or if you've been trying to date maybe since June and you set that intention, maybe this is the time when you receive that manifestation and that gain. Or maybe you're just wanting to go out more and you realize what activates your inner child, and what makes your inner child happy. Maybe creating a business, maybe creating a child, maybe creating work of art. If you work in the media, this is a great month, especially after Saturn goes direct on the 4th, and your career. This is a month that's very focused on your image and your career. Off to the next sign, which is Aquarius. So Saturn in your first house retrograde since June could have brought a lot of Aquarius rising and moons, could have brought a lot of health issues, health difficulties, especially for the moon signs, mental, and then physical for the rising signs, that could have been stopping you or could have made you feel some type of way. Now, this is the month once after tomorrow when Saturn goes direct in your first house, that you've learned all the lessons since June, and now you're ready to move forward healthier, stronger, with a better outlook of life, of your relationships, and also of yourself. So this is a really important month. Then 8th house Venus with Ketu is really forcing you to take a look and re-examine and restructure your finances and your resources. Also, your money, more money might start flowing for you. More money is coming in now after the last 2 years. Your beliefs have shifted, and therefore luck is on your side. Like you have a lot of planets in your ninth house this month. First half of the month, luck is on your side. Second half of the month, you're focusing a lot on your career outlook, on your image, on also maybe changing something about your appearance after feeling healthier, after Saturn goes direct, and also changing something about like your if you go travel first half of the month, or you plan to travel or something with foreigners. If you work with foreigners, you might have some kind of foreign connection. And then the second half of the month, you're really working hard at work. Things at work are going to start coming up, and also in your home life. If you were trying to like move or relocate, this could be a month when you do it as well. But most of your focus is going to be in your career, not your home. Off to the next sign, which is Pisces. Pisces rising, Pisces moon. This is a really important month for you because you just began a brand new chapter in your life, having Rahu in your first house, Ketu in the seventh, that will go on for 1.5 years. So for the next 18 months. So this is a time when a lot of you are going to begin focusing on yourself. You're no longer going to focus on what other people think about you. You're no longer going to focus on things that are no longer serving you outside of yourself, because you're viewing your relationships in a really spiritual way. If you had somebody from your past, they may come back, or you might decide that your current relationships are no longer aligned with your values, or you might decide that you feel disconnected from your partnerships at this time. If they're not moving forward with you in this new path that you're undertaking, then they might end. Especially you're seeking stability within yourself, within your finances, within your life in general. You want a lot of stability, and you're gonna go for it. There's a lot of planets transiting first half of the month, your eighth house. So be careful driving. Not saying that anything's gonna happen. Just be cautious this month driving, especially Sun is debilitated there in your eighth house. So it's an important month for you to transform yourself. You're transforming everything about your partnerships and your sense of self. Like you're letting go of everything and anything that is not working for you, so that you can go for. So at the beginning of this transit can feel, the first few months can feel really like transformative. Like, well, this is a heavy energy that I just entered. Everything's breaking apart for me and nothing's making sense. But then later on in the months, you're going to notice that needed to happen so that you can now feel much more aligned with yourself, within your partnerships. So with Venus being with Ketu in your seventh house, as the month progresses, you're going to feel like a little bit more critical than usual. Either you or your spouse can be a little bit more critical. If you're single, you're going to feel like viewing your relationships in a more spiritual way. Like, what is it that I need to let go of myself so that I can be ready for a partnership? What is it that I need to do in order to feel like I can be ready to welcome in and be open and feel worthy of a new relationship? This could be, if you do get into a relationship, this can feel like a very fated relationship at this time. Now, eighth house is going to force you to let go of things before you call anything into your life. Let go of your sense of self, let go of things that are not serving you, so that you can work on yourself and then call into your life what's meant for you. Then Saturn going direct in your 12th house. You've learned a lot of lessons the past few months since June about isolation, about disconnecting, about the things that keep you trapped. So you're letting go of all of that. You've let go of that. There was a lot of high expenses that could have happened in your life the last few months. And now you've learned those lessons. Now it's time to move forward. Now it's time to go on with your life, because you've let go of anything that has been holding you back up until now. Any limiting beliefs that from childhood came up at this time, and now you're ready to let that go and move forward so that you can focus on you. Because you are the only thing that you have. So you have to focus on you in order to welcome in these beautiful things that are going to come into your life this next 2 years. Risings or moons can experience some sudden situations occur in their lives, because Saturn's still in your 12th house, and also maybe even relocating for some of you, or thinking about relocating and then later on in the months relocating. But Saturn in the 12th house does bring expenses, but they're getting a little bit better than they were. Now, all the planets that you have in your 8th house can bring up some kind of sudden event in your life. Doesn't mean that it's a negative thing. The ruler's in your 7th house, so it could be a sudden situation in terms of your relationships or how you connect with others in the outside world. Maybe you're no longer having it. Maybe you're no longer wanting to deal with it. Maybe you're no longer wanting to deal with people who don't have your highest and greatest good, who are not of your high, and you're not afraid to set those boundaries at this time. So set the boundaries, work on you, focus on you, and everything's gonna be okay.